our special report on domestic violence in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'm Lauren Letillier. Every year, Marion County Sheriff's Office deputies respond to approximately 1,900 domestic violence calls in Marion County alone. 61 people have lost their lives to domestic violence in the last 10 years. Marion County Sheriff Blair and Monica Bryant, the Family Violence Prevention Coordinator for the Marion County Children's Alliance, are joining us in the studio today to tell us more about the resources we have in Marion County to help protect our victims and bring light to this very important issue. Thank you both for joining us today.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Awesome. Sheriff, let's go ahead and start off with you. I understand that you have a personal story with domestic violence in your family that you can share with us.
Well, as a young man, I lost a sister who was married to domestic violence, and she was murdered, and the husband committed suicide. At that time, he left 2 children behind, young ages. For
you and becoming sheriff here, why is this issue so important here in Marion County? Why is it important to you?
Well, I think you said the numbers, the facts are there. We lost 61 individuals in the last 10 years in Marion County. So certainly we need to take a measure to where we're able to provide protection for individuals of domestic violence.
Monica, working with domestic violence victims, on a day-to-day basis, why is the issue important for you as well?
We're losing too many women and children in this community to something that we as a community should address. It should be on top of our priority list. Often it's not. Me and my team, I head the Domestic Violence Task Force, which is the Family Violence Prevention Work Group. We spend all of our time trying to develop ways to bring awareness, but also make sure these women and children have the resources that they need.
What about measures we are currently taking? There's a lot of them, but recently at the Sheriff's Office, and both of you have been involved, we have the SHIELD program, which is short for Surviving Harmful Interactions Through Electronic Location Devices. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Well, when I became sheriff, it was an opportunity to meet Monica here, and we wanted to protect future victims of domestic violence. So it gave us an opportunity to look at a program. We were able to work together, bring that program to the Marion County Sheriff's Office. It's called SHIELD, and primarily it's just a GPS tracking unit that will allow us to try to protect victims from becoming further victims. So, and we're working with the court systems at the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
Monica, what do you think about this program?
It's a good night's sleep for our victims, because we will know where the perpetrator is. She will know. She will feel safe. Before we got SHIELD, they didn't know. They could just be anywhere. She'd go to the grocery store and go around an aisle, there he is. But there's exclusion zones, and if he entered those zones, we have an officer that goes to her and one that goes to him. So for our victims, I think it's important that they get a good night's sleep. They don't have to worry about, is he outside the house? Is he crept down by the window? We know exactly where he is, and so does she.
So the SHIELD program is just a huge thing in Marion County that we have now that we did not have before, especially with emerging technology.
Well, we're hoping that it's going to give victims a peace of mind.
Yes.
I think it's important to know that law enforcement's monitoring these individuals so that if something does occur or if they're being stalked out there, that we'll get an alarm that'll go off once they enter into the exclusionary area. So by the time we get the information, we go ahead and send deputy sheriffs to both the offender and the possible victim.
There are other resources in Marion County, not only the SHIELD program. Monica, can you tell me a little bit about some other resources we have? Domestic violence shelters, hotlines. What can you tell us?
We do have our domestic violence shelter, and it's been here for many years, headed by Dr. Judy Wilson. But the Sheriff's Department also has a victim advocate and crisis intervention specialist, which is unique because a lot of the other Sheriff's Departments do not have crisis intervention specialists. And so when they go out on those calls, they're able to intervene, sometimes get the resources before something major occurs. Our police department has victim advocates as well, but the Family Violence Prevention Work Group, we host a variety of community events. Without the work that this group does, there would hardly be anything about domestic violence in this community. We have not warmed up to this issue as a community. It's something that we want to keep hidden, and we can't.
Monica's done a great job here in Marion County, and when we met, she had heard of my story, so we kind of teamed up together, became partners in fighting domestic violence in Marion County as well as the city of Ocala, and she's done a great job. I mean, she's getting more people to come out at her walks for domestic violence to offend against it, and then also the Night of Hope, very successful program that she now runs.
Which just happened, correct?
Yes, it did, and we actually honored one of the deputies here, Deputy Michelle Wright, for the work that she's done. I mean, she worked hard on the SHIELDS program, but Michelle is a victim herself, so she understands what our victims go through. And she was very deserving of that award because she just treats everybody the same. She has no biases or anything, well deserving.
And we also have our domestic violence vehicle out there that's in purple, and we came up from the fact of having vehicles for cancer.
Right.
So when we put them out for cancer, we went ahead and made the decision to put it out for domestic violence, and Michelle drives that vehicle.
Right,
Yes.
we have purple patrol cars that actually are for domestic.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes, we do.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Any more events that we have coming up for Domestic Violence Awareness Month? Anything else that you guys would like to add?
Yes, well, we have our annual conference, which is on Friday at CF, and there's a domestic violence track as well as a substance abuse track. We have local and state speakers that are coming. It will be at CF on Friday, but we also have our Voice of Hope publication. We started producing this 4 years ago because there is not a domestic violence publication, but what's unique, if you look at the back, those are all the people that we've lost. And so that you look at a name and you may recognize somebody. So it's more than just a name, it's more than somebody. It gives them a face, somebody in our community that we have lost. And we owe it to these people to, number one, try not to get any more names because we have 5 so far this year, but to remember those that have paid the price just for a relationship that has gone bad. You shouldn't die for a relationship gone bad. You should be able to get out, leave that person, live your life.
In closing, we're just encouraging people to report domestic violence so that we can save lives for the future.
Because, you know, these cases we work, and as a major crimes detective, back before you were sheriff,
That's
you worked
true.
many of them. So
Absolutely.
it's something that's near and dear to our heart here in Marion.
Well, it's about reporting. I mean, we need to have people report domestic violence. If they see violence in the workplace, you know, a female coming in and it appears that she's been abused, you know, it's important for them to report it to us so that we can investigate it. It may save her life in the future.
And even if they're hesitant about reporting, as a coworker, there's things you can do. Just note it. Just write it down. In Susan Steele's case, she was a victim whose husband got 36 years, but she had a boss that every time she came in or she heard something that wasn't right, she wrote it. Susan had no idea. So even if the victim does not want to tell, at that point, we can all do our part in this community. If we notice things, just keep track of it, take photos of it, so when that victim does get the strength to come forward, they'll have something to back them up.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all this helpful information to us. And please, if you're a victim of domestic violence or if you know a victim, please consider calling authorities for help today. Together, we can break the silence on domestic violence. Thank you for watching.